Sure. I think the most important discovery that we've had in this field of machine learning in healthcare is that bias exists in unimaginable ways in the data. One of my favorite quotes is that if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. What that means in data science is that if you don't know data science, it probably means that you are at risk of being misinformed and you're at risk of being taken advantage of. So I have been a doctor for a long time, and I got frustrated not knowing what is the best treatment or test for a patient. I've been very frustrated by the way we create evidence, which is really informed by clinical trials that are performed only in a handful of countries, and typically those are the rich countries. And in those countries, most of the participants are white males. And yet we are expected to translate the findings of clinical trials to everyone around the world. And we think that this is a very flawed system, and this is the reason why we're not getting the best outcomes for our patients. And then suddenly there is digitalization of healthcare. So there is an opportunity to learn from the data that you're collecting from the patients. And with that, we launch into this initiative of truly leveraging the data that we're swimming in and convert them into knowledge. I think the most important discovery that we've had in this field of machine learning in healthcare is that bias exists in unimaginable ways in the data. There is bias from the technology that we use in hospitals and clinics. So the same number might mean different depending whether you're white or black. And we don't know the impact of such biases when you start building prediction models or optimization models. There's also bias in the frequency of testing as well as the propensity to give a treatment. And those are not easily understood by the data scientists when they're building these models. There's bias from sampling selection. So people don't understand of how patients end up in a database. A good example would be a transplant list. They build prediction models using the patient cohort in a transplant list, not realizing that there were a lot of people who got filtered, who did not even end up in the transplant list. And yet they expect that model to generalize to all the patients. So at this point, we don't understand what's going to happen to your prediction models given the amount of bias that exists in the data. The risk of not sharing data is that you don't discover all the biases that lurk in the data sets. And I think that we have made this intentional initiative to open our data set because we knew at MIT that we weren't smart enough to be able to understand the biases. And what's happening when you share the data is you crowdsource the discovery of these biases, you crowdsource the building of the models. And we think that this is a requirement for data science to advance in healthcare. The data needs to be analyzed, curated by as many individuals as possible with different expertise and different perspectives. Otherwise, the models that we're building would be perpetuating or even magnifying the inequities and disparities that we see now. In the past, doctors and nurses have been just recipient of medical knowledge. We embrace whatever is handed to us by professional societies. We know that there's a lot of conflict of interest. A lot of those guidelines might be influenced by sponsorship by a drug company or medical device company. And I think we should have a healthy dose of skepticism. And the only way to question what is being given to you is to know yourself how to analyze the data. One of my favorite quotes is that if you're not at the table, you're probably on the menu. What that means in data science is that If you don't know data science, it probably means that you are at risk of being misinformed and you're at risk of being taken advantage of. So we would love for everyone to come join us at Concan University in October 2023. Hope to see you there. It will be an amazing experience for everyone. Thank you.